Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Finance Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Jen.
I'm Joe.
And today, you guys, we have Yasha. We are in St. Augustine, and we got her in person live with you, so we were so excited. I got to meet Yasha a few years ago through the WIRE community, Women Investing in Real Estate. We stayed in Orlando at a retreat together, and she's joined our coaching community, and she is crushing it. So Joe and I are so excited to have her here to chat about what's going on real estate-wise, what's going on behind the scenes with your investment portfolio, and any tips and advice for people looking to get started in real estate.
Awesome.
Yay!
So happy to be here.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes, thank you.
So many people know you, but if for those who don't, where are you from? Where are you doing most of your business?
So I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, and obviously we're here down in St. Augustine today. So I do also service this area, and yeah.
So you've been a realtor for how long?
Oh my goodness, over 10 years now.
And when did you start investing?
Really, when I met you, that was when I said I want to be in real estate investing full time, and so that's what really made me just go all in.
Oh wow, so that was a couple years ago then.
Yeah.
So what got you even thinking of real estate? There's so many different things as we're growing up, right? Like what made you
Yes.
think real estate in the beginning?
Really, honestly, I just fell into like real estate because I graduated from college. I didn't really have like a job lined up because my plans changed, meeting my husband. And then I was like, well, you know what? Let me just give this a shot and see what happens because I love sales. So that was a big part of it.
Funny how that happens. The husband's just kind of like change plans a little bit.
Just
Well, I think real estate, there's so many things. It's like, I don't know anybody who grows up like, I'm going to be a real estate agent.
Yeah.
There might be some,
Or
but
even
like
investor.
we
Yeah.
tend to either see an example of it happen or we bump into it. So it's always just fun to hear how, you get into it. I mean, I watched my family do it when I was young, but I wasn't like, this is what I'm going to do as I'm older until my friend bought a course on TV and, it turns into that. So you've been an agent, retail side, what made you want to get onto the investor side?
Really, when I started seeing that I wasn't the top producer in the lineup for people just from general contractors to the investors themselves, like I was like, man, I'm really getting pennies on the dollar here. I really want to just try this and see what happens and see where it takes me.
Yeah. Well, and I think a lot of times too, I have a lot of my friends who are agents. They're like, I'm watching everybody else do deals. I'm helping everybody else, all the sellers and buyers and investors, and they're like, when's it my turn?
Yeah.
Right? And you have that happen quite a bit because you're in the industry already, and you probably come across some situations and probably some opportunities too.
Yes, definitely. So many of them. And some of them I'm still kicking myself for that I passed up or sold to someone else. And I was like, man, I should have bought that.
Well, we can't look back. There's so many
Yeah.
coulda, woulda, shouldas. That's for
Yes.
sure. It's like when you know better, you do better,
Yes.
and you just continue. Like that's the one thing I love about you. You're always educating yourself, but you're taking the action along the way too. It's like you're growing, but you're also doing it. So I want to dial back a little while ago. You used what we call now the blue ad,
Yes.
and where it's where you post into Facebook groups, and I think you just put it on your personal page.
Yes. And I was honestly so terrified to do that because I was like, oh my gosh, what are people going to think? And I just had so many comments just being dropped. And then my actual property manager, he called me and he said, hey, I know someone that's going to be selling right across the street, and I'll connect you with the painter who's helping them, or that told me that this property was going to be coming up on the market. So as soon as I got in contact with them, they put me in contact with the seller and we just started negotiating. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. And when I looked at the house, I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so if you're listening, like, wait a minute, you guys just said blue ad. Yeah, it's this silly little thing that we've been using now, and we tell everybody. So if you're listening, go try this out. Does anyone have a house for sale that's not market ready? I'm looking to buy one in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Usually should say something like that. And we love putting into Facebook groups, but if you have a following or you've got probably close to 5,000 or maybe even more at this point on your Facebook page, like you definitely should be posting that. That was a while ago, so maybe it's time to post another one of
Yes.
those.
Yes, definitely. I was
Yeah.
thinking about it today.
And it's so crazy because so we talk about posting that message into groups. We call it the blue ad because we put the background of the post, make it blue, but you can make it pink or yellow, but the blue really just
It just does something.
it pops really well. But the difference is when you put it on your own page, you never know what type of friend, family, coworker. So if you're serious about doing real estate, just even posting it on your own page, and guess what? You do have a lot of your friends in your community that follows you congratulate you, saying this is awesome. And if any of my friends or family say, "What are you doing?" Right? Like, whatever. It's nothing bad, but you're going to actually get in touch with people this way. And you
Yes.
never know what that one post ends up turning into an opportunity, which is like, could be life changing. It's your first deal. That's a really big thing from a silly Facebook post without spending thousands on marketing
I
or
was just gonna say,
10,000 calls.
people spend so much either time like dialing and then money on ads. I mean, people are doing TV, radio, PPC, mailers, and yeah, literally take out your phone, type that up, put it into a Facebook group, put it on your personal page, pop it into your stories, and watch people reach out and check your DMs.
Yeah, always check the DMs because that's where they come in, a lot of them.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
where the
so
money's
and you
at.
never know. It could be a turnkey property that maybe just somebody doesn't want to list on market, which is always an opportunity then for these creative deals that we love. But also, if it's a fixer upper, maybe somebody can find cash too.
Hmm.
Yes.
So why would they want to sell that house?
So this was actually a probate deal, which I loved probates, or I still do, but it was a probate opportunity. The previous sellers left that home to their house cleaner, and their house cleaner, like that home was a disaster. And so she just wanted to get rid of it. She thought about, spending the time and energy to fix it up, but then, I just said, "Hey, what's your number?" And we made it work. So, but
Well,
the great thing too on that deal was that I was able to get her to reduce her price a couple of times because I kind of tested it out there on the market to see what I could get, and didn't have any bites. And then I went back to her a few times to get price reductions.
so you're able to find a seller that's flexible.
Yes.
Sounds like to me she just had this property fall in her lap,
Yes.
Mm-hmm,
which
literally.
in so many circumstances, when you're listening to this story, you're gonna be like, well, who would they do this? Well, you'd be surprised from doing this and talking to so many folks, like how they do have an unwanted house. I remember Jen a long time ago was like, does anybody have an unwanted house? And like, who has an unwanted house? Well, it sounds like this lady who was the house cleaner is overwhelmed and was given this house, and she just needs a speed and convenience, right? and,
Yes.
and here you are as a professional able to help her.
Yes.
I want to dial back. You said how you love negotiating, and I feel like that's something where is it something that you just always love? Did you kind of have to train yourself? Because I feel like that's one part of the process of talking to sellers. People get really worried or nervous about. So maybe take us back to was there anything that really helped you? Did you ever have a fear of it, or just like your personality, like no, I'll just talk to anybody, or kind of even renegotiating the price with this lady?
So I have always just said you have to take your emotion out of everything, especially with deals. And because I mean, there could be some really big paydays, but I think really just removing myself from that just helped me just go for the ass. Like I just have to like say, bump fear and let me just see what happens because you never know. And I've been successful with that, and just painting that picture for people. But taking it a step even further back, I really got my first sales experience like when I worked at Foot Locker. 18 years old. That was my first job. And I had a really good general manager there. And that really just put me on sales because it was always like the art of negotiations and then also closing the deal that really just made me super excited.
Well, I feel like is like I had a retail job when I was young,
Yeah.
working in a clothing store, but it's like rather you're in fast food or clothing or whatever it is, like getting in front of the public a lot teaches you so much people skills because
Yes.
in real estate, this is what we are. It's people skills, and you're having conversations about the numbers, right? But it's
Yes.
the people skills that are really the true art there. And I mean, you learned that working in McDonald's or my first job at Old Country Buffet, like that kind of stuff, right? Some people listening, like they have no clue what that meant. Of old restaurant, but that's where you learn so much of it. Even Foot Locker, like you're dealing with a lot of people and
Yes.
all different situations, right?
Yes.
And you learn how to, what we always say, bob and weave around people, and how to do it. So now when you're talking to somebody about a house, you're doing the same skills. It just now maybe an extra couple zeros,
Yes.
not dealing with sneakers no more. But I think I just was thrown out there. I mean, one of my first jobs was selling perfume and cologne out of the trunk of my car,
Yeah.
driving around aimlessly. They'd be like, go do this. And like, I'd see you at a gas station. I'm like, hey, do you like perfume? And you're like looking at me like, what is he talking about? Right. But that was my job. So if you could get over those kind of fears,
Yes.
talking to somebody on a phone or
Yes.
messaging about a
Literally.
house is like easy peasy. So if you're listening to this, you know, maybe the first conversation will be a little bit like scary, no different than starting anything new in the beginning. But
Yes.
you as an agent, you with them Foot Locker skills, right? Like you've dealt with public so many times. To you, it becomes second nature now. So if you're having somebody listen who maybe hasn't had that experience, I know you talk about like get through your fears, but is there any like tip that you've done that would help, especially in the
Um,
beginning? Like go back to like when you were that scared person in the beginning.
The one thing that I would say that always has stuck in my mind was doing Facebook Lives when especially early on in my real estate career, that literally just changed me because I just said, you know what, I'm just gonna go. It doesn't matter if I mess up, I did it, and it's better than the person who didn't take the action. So that was always like my thought process. Like, I don't care if I fumbled over the words or the street address. Hey, I'm here in 123 Main Street, and these are the details, and that really helped me. And you'd be so surprised who is watching you that never engages with anything. But I've had people call me and they're like, hey, I want you to know I never like or share, but I am always watching everything you do. And I'm like, and they were like, oh, I love this house. So I was like, oh,
Mhm.
wow, well, thank you. Because sometimes you just never know.
Well, and that's a good thing too, is you're just sharing once again. And like what Jen always talks about is taking that messy, massive action. And I was that chicken. I didn't want to go live. This is all 100% her fault, okay? Because we were going live for the very first time when it like was a feature. We're at a house that we just bought. We are gonna renovate it, and she's like, "I'm gonna share this," and she's like, "We're gonna go live." I'm like, "What does that mean?" She's like, "Well, when I hit that button, all of our followers could see us live." And I was like, "Don't do that." She's like, "Too late," and she hit start. Like literally the first one. If you look like I'm like completely like lost and scared. I was because she just said too late 1 second before that. But I survived. I made it thanks to her.
Well, it went hand in hand because you started painting the picture of like, hey, because that was our fifth property I think we bought, and you're like, if we continue to buy these, I can walk away from my W-2. I'll see you and the kids some more, and so I'm like, perfect. Like, I'll just blow this thing up on Facebook, and more
Yes.
people, sell their house, buy a house, whatever it might be, and obviously we're able to do that.
Yeah.
So you just never know. Gotta take that action. I want to get into a little bit more about you've been kind of dabbling in some construction. You just dropped about something about a duplex you've got over in this area. So I'd love to hear a little bit more about that side of real estate too that you have going on with you and your husband. What's going on there?
Yes. So a couple of years ago, I just had this itch right after I met with you in Orlando, and I was like, I want to do more short-term rentals. I want to, build because my husband does not like to rehab. Like, I can definitely say we crossed that one off the list for us. So new construction is where it's at for us, and I was on the hunt, and I reached out to some people. Said, hey, this is what I'm looking for. I want to be able to do a short-term rental here. And so found the lot. I was also able to get paid on that deal as an agent. And then we just started construction. And we're actually in the middle of building right across the street right now as well. So we're building 4 3-story townhomes. I was like, I had to think about it. So right now, but right across the street. And that's a journey in itself because just like you guys working with your spouse, you have to bob and weave and, figure out whose lane is what and all the things. But it's been definitely a journey.
Well, you learn so much along that way too, and you realize like there are some things that Jen is really great at, and it is my weak side. So thank
Same.
goodness I have her.
Yes.
And then there's some things where she's like, "Yeah, I'm never gonna do the paperwork." So like that's 100% you.
Yes.
And she still giggles about that to this
I
day.
don't know how to fill out a contract.
Yeah.
I refuse to learn.
Like I could do those with my eyes closed.
Yeah. I remember the first time I asked her, she's like, "No, not gonna," and like walked away. But once you figure your lane out, especially when you work with your spouse and you figure that out, it's just both of you just crush it what you're great at together.
Yes.
And that's really beautiful to see. And it comes together. It does take a little bit of time. Then you start finding out.
Yes.
Like I know there's certain times don't ask her stuff, right? And it's usually like right before bed.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I'll try to wait till the morning, but my brain works late at night.
And
Yes.
I'm like first thing in the morning, and he's like not. So
give me
work
a
on
few
it.
minutes.
Yeah.
But that's the fun thing working with your spouse. So you've gone from agent to now I want to invest, do your first deal, and now you're doing development.
Yes.
Which
Yes.
is like, wow, right? And not even a really long span in between doing your first deal compared to doing this. So
Yes.
the development part is really, really neat. What made you think like this is what we want? I know your husband doesn't like to do the fix and flips, but he's all for new
Yes,
builds?
yes. And we've even pivoted a little bit more since then, since we've even finished. This is going to be probably our last residential project, and we're going to be shifting more into industrial. That's just where we've seen like where the market needs or is lacking in here in Northeast Florida. So we're going to go all in that aspect.
Wow.
Yeah. It makes me excited though, because I think when I talk to people who always ask me about like real estate investing, and it's always like, oh, define what your buy box is. And it's like, it took a couple of times to really figure that out. And then now we found like that sweet spot, our little honey hole.
Yeah. So do you currently have short-term rentals?
Yes.
And
Yep.
do you run them yourself?
No. I
Because
did that before and I was like, you know what? Do I really want to be driving an hour down here if somebody has an issue? Which there's stuff that comes up, on the weekends or when we're traveling, and I'm not doing that.
well, yeah, and because it literally is hospitality. We pulled in here, we couldn't get in the front door, so we're messaging, no response. I had to go dig, find a number, and she was driving and literally had to like pull over and reset the code. But those little things, I mean, you have a family who just showed up after a 4-hour drive, and she was great about it. But yeah, it's like you got to really be prepared for all that. So either you get ready for that or outsource that.
Yes. And that's what goes back to like figuring out what our lanes are or like what our buy box is, because I was like, okay, I'm great at like the design and the furnishing, but I don't want to deal with the people because I already deal with so many other people in a different way. So,
Yeah.
I don't know which one of the two. That's why I'm happy with like some of the creative deals, but when it comes to like the service side of the Airbnb, that's got to be a lot.
oh, yes.
I can imagine some of these things that pop up unexpectedly has got to be able to.
Some people just have that knack. Like they
Yeah.
enjoy, like I think of a family, they have a large homeschooling family, and she's like, yeah, I just wrote it all from my phone. I'm right there. I got my people. And I'm like, really? We also have like 12 kids. And like, she had it all figured out. And I was super impressed by it. I was like, I don't want to be, getting these messages. Like, it's enough if I've got one of our renters, all the rest are rent owned. And they're still trying to get back the $20 she spent on a light bulb or something. I'm like, talk to my contractor.
So I did a little bit of rental arbitrage before we actually went all in on building our own. And I was like, that's really what showed me this is not really what I want to do. Yeah.
Yep.
And sometimes that's how you learn.
Yes.
Okay, this is what I don't like, and this is what I do like. And that's why I just love the rent to own model, because you do, for the most part, set it and forget it. That's what makes it really hard. If it doesn't cash flow as a long-term rental, it's just probably not a deal for us.
No, you got it spot on.
So, how about the market over here? Like, so we're obviously on the west coast of Florida, and things are starting to pile up over there. Do you see that happening over here?
Yes.
And like, what is it? Do you know days on market?
You'd probably know days on market here better than I would. What is it like been in the Jacksonville, St. Augustine market been like lately?
So it really just depends, but I would say the market that moves the most compared like Jacksonville or St. Augustine, it's going to definitely be St. Augustine or St. Johns County in general. And then where we're seeing the most activity is like in the $1 million plus. Because right now, like affordability is a real thing, I've had to ask for a lot of price reductions lately from sellers, and that's not always fun, but it's the reality that we're in today. So just really being strategic about timing, and plus we're in the spring market, so that's like this is the time if you're going to do anything, this is the time to sell.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's interesting because it's all by zip code. I noticed
yes,
some zip codes are
some
actually
zip codes.
when I was looking on some of the software lately, like some zip codes are down and price are down and sales are down and volume as far as like time on market that's up. But then there's some zip codes where you're just like, whoa, like what's going on in these little pockets? So it could really be boiling down to certain neighborhoods
houses
or
are
school
moving, or
district.
they're not?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And some they're still selling kind of quickly.
Yes.
And I've noticed that even back home in the Sarasota area, because overall Tampa and Sarasota is down quite a bit right now. But there's these little pockets in certain zip codes, it's still pretty hot.
Yes.
So especially where we are,
Yeah.
it doesn't make almost any sense. But that's what's happening. So when you hear like certain markets overall are crashing, I'd dial down to sometimes even just neighborhoods. And you'll
Yes.
find some areas I think will thrive still and some that are really going to take a hit. But you're saying that over 1 million are still selling well?
Yes.
It's interesting to hear that.
And
Usually it's the opposite.
I know that's what really just made us also be strategic with our new builds that we're doing. And so we're going to be in the $1 million plus range, because those are the people that have the money, and
Yep.
that are going to be always buying regardless of the market conditions. So that was our plan. But even just down here in the historic part of St. Augustine, this area is always hot. So
Yeah.
I could tell.
I can see why it's so
You
adorable
have the
down
foot
here.
traffic, the tourism.
The food.
Yes, the food.
Well, I think too, there's just so much history here as
Yeah.
we homeschool our
Yeah.
kids. So when we come to travel, we always want to learn about the area and what better place to do in like the oldest city in America.
Yes.
And it's like right out your doorstep. There's just history everywhere. So part of what I love about real estate is incorporating family time into both of those. So the kids know like we've got you here today, we're going to be doing this, but then after we're going out to dinner late tonight, and we're going to go to this museum the kids want to go to probably tomorrow. So it's really great to just be able to kind of pencil those two things together while coming here. So I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that I don't know. There's something too so different on this on the. I don't know. Like, it doesn't even feel like Florida to me up here. Almost.
Really?
Like
Yeah.
it's Florida, but I don't know. It's so beachy and there's so many tourists. I mean, we are guilty. We came down and then stayed. So
A bunch of
I
us.
can't be mad at us, but yeah, it's just such a different vibe over here. It's been really cool to just experience that, and I could see where like I'm like, oh, maybe we need to find some more properties over on this side for sure.
Oh,
I
yes.
think I love Florida because of the diverse state too. I mean, you've got so
Yes.
many different pockets from Miami to Tampa, Sarasota area. You go to Naples, the Keys. You come up here, it almost feels like it's a southern New England
Yeah.
area here. It almost
Yes.
feels like you could see like the way the houses are built. So I love houses and real estate. So the first thing we always do, we come to a new area. I'm on Zillow. I'm on PropStream. I'm looking at the other house next door for sale. And I'm like, well, let's see if maybe they'll be open to terms. Like I'm so bad when it comes to that, but that's my thing I love to do, part of traveling.
Yeah, and I was gonna maybe end on that question as far as pitching terms or trying to talk to a seller about that. Have you found any ways to kind of present that to a seller, or do you find that right now in the market they're still just very much like, no, I just want traditional sale, or any kind of tips with that being an agent and an investor?
Yes. So sometimes, well, for on the listing agent side, so if we get an opportunity, I think the most underutilized checkbox on our contract is seller financing. Even just agents asking that because we have like this bad habit of where we just pre-fill everything. And so we're always going to pick like FHA, VA, conventional cash. But it's having that extra conversation about seller financing and what that could potentially look like, especially in today's market. I think it's so important to have that conversation because you're going to get those types of offers. Um, Even on one of my listings, I've had so many of those offers, and my seller's like, no, we're not open to it. So I was like, that's fine, but I just want you to know, hey, we are getting offers, but this is the reality of what's happening today. So
That'd be a great video because I definitely want you to share like where people can find you. But yeah, just like a way to explain to sellers the benefits because sometimes they look to an agent because that's what like in our heads like that's the only way to sell. Obviously, we all know that there's so many ways to sell, but that'd be a really cool way if you had like a video on your socials to kind of explain to
explain
sellers
that.
about that. Yeah.
I think I did that one night on my stories in my pink bathroom. And I was like, man, because I think even just with the deal that you guys helped me with, just helping, navigate the terms with the seller, how to do rent to own, even that helped, even though like I wasn't able to put that on the market traditionally. That was just a helpful way to kind of lead there. So
That's right. You have a rent to own right now.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, we
Yeah.
didn't
Well,
talk about that.
you give grade A advice, grade A on that topic because I love working with agents, but don't prejudge, like you said. Have the conversation. Don't just check the box,
Yeah.
right? Or uncheck the box. Like, have the conversation with the seller. If you do have an offer brought to you, at least bring it to them. Let
Yeah.
them say no to
Decide.
it,
Yeah.
right? But educate them on this could be an opportunity because of these reasons. And, as us as investors and agent, we're trying to help a seller and giving them every option because some that won't work for, but for the ones it does, it works really well for them and they've been happy with that too. So I love the fact you're like, don't just prejudge, have the
Yes.
conversation. And so if you're an agent listening, just
Mhm.
saying,
Well, you said
okay?
it's literally just habit, something you're just so routine to do. So it's just kind
Yes.
of like, oh, cognitively remember, like, okay, like, let me not do that or take the extra 5 minutes and just kind of explain, just dip the toe in the water a little bit. Because otherwise, like we're seeing some of these houses, they're sitting and then they're not selling.
Yeah.
And
Well, I think of Ryan and Alyssa in our coaching group. They have an agent right now in New York. She's amazing. They've got the first property. I think they're closing tomorrow
yeah.
Oh,
on
nice.
it. And the agent was great because she was like, yes, I understand it. She talked to the seller. Seller was like, please, let's go. Because I guess they already talked to the seller first, but they wanted to get the agent on on board too, and the agent's like all with it. Then she's like, hey, there's another one we could do this to as well. And so now they're doing that deal.
Wow.
So yeah, it does open opportunities for sure. So
I think the
um,
biggest thing is just for agents to really be educated on this because
yeah,
I think they're afraid of it
Yeah.
because they don't understand it or like know all the things that go into it. So, but I found it to be, I think right before I met you, I did my first seller finance deal with Grace and she walked me through and I
hmm
was like, wait, I still need more. I was like, I'm still like scared and lost, but I still have that property. But once the lease is up, I was like, I'm going to convert over to the rent to own model on that one so I could just move on.
I love it.
It's awesome.
Yeah, is your rent to own in Jacksonville?
Yes, it is.
That's
Yes.
awesome. And is that how long we had that property?
Maybe about a month now. So I was just telling Joe before we got started that I've been getting a lot more inquiries. I have my VA also posting it every day, like on my Instagram and, tweaking things so that way we can keep the traction on that.
Yeah.
Always be showing, right?
Yes.
Always be showing. And then
Yes.
any mortgage brokers who maybe have somebody who's not able to qualify for a mortgage right now, they might know somebody who, hey, they want to buy a house, but they're just not ready for it yet. Those are some of the ways we've been able to connect with folks too. So,
Yes, I
um,
actually sent Jenna, your guys' girl up here, someone just a couple weeks ago. I don't know if it worked out, but I was like, oh, perfect opportunity. My mortgage lender sent me someone
yep,
who did something dumb and then couldn't qualify anymore. And then I said, oh, well, I have a great rent to own option for you. You can pick this one or this one. Which one do you want?
I love it.
Love it. And that's what it's all about, connecting, collaborating. How can we make a tenant, a homeowner one day too?
Yep.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks for spending some time with us today,
Yes.
Yasha. It was so great. So if people want to connect with you, where can they find you?
The best place to find me is on Instagram at Yasha Wells.
Awesome. We'll put everything in the show notes. So again, if you're in St. Augustine or Jacksonville area, hit Yasha up. She's such a sweetheart. She can give you all of the details that you might need to get into one of these projects we've been chatting about here. Lots happening.
Yeah, and if you've got some deals working in Jacksonville, I'll tell you who I call every time. I'm like, hey, so there's a great connection here if for you investors, or maybe you're looking to buy a home in the Jacksonville area. Obviously, she's an agent too,
Very
and she can help you out.
responsive. Yeah. Busy mama. How many kids you have?
4.
Oh yeah, 4 kids, married, all the things. So, but she still finds all the time for what matters. So, awesome. Well, thanks so much for tuning in today. Another episode. If you love what you hear, make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're listening on Apple or Spotify, can you please give us a 5-star rating and tell us what you love about this podcast, folks? Until next time, we'll see you later.
See ya.